This is a WEC method RMT club exercise we call the standing hip hinge. Here's what it looks like. Up on one foot, club up overhead, back nice and flat. Knee is flexed. And I'm gonna come back down, kicking the heel out, tap the ground, come back up, hinging through the hip, back to the starting position. Benefits of this exercise: core stability, hip mobility, and balance. We're gonna develop the ability to balance on one leg and coil into the hip, powering the whole body's movement through the hip, down to the ground with balance and control. So, beginner version of this, because it's a very challenging exercise. I'm going to start with the club up overhead, and I want nice and flat. I don't want arch extended. I'm here. I take the foot that I would be lifting and I just toe the ground. I maintain balance with that toed position, just like this. I'm gonna hinge with a nice flat back. I'm gonna come to my end range of motion as defined by the back remaining flat. You'll feel a big time stretch in the hamstring here because of this ground, or this foot on the ground. And then I can take the club and dip the club down and bring it back up to this position here. Nice and flat, toe on the ground, tap it, and get that flexibility through the hamstring. Now, the first version of lifting it up, we're not going to start in this position. We're going to start with the foot on the ground. Now we're going to hinge down, and we don't lift the leg up as high in this version, so we really get the balance. We can come down and find balance with the club. Bring it back up to the start position, keep this foot on the ground if necessary. Then we move to the advanced. Now here's a very important point that's going to help us extract the absolute maximum from this exercise. And it involves the internal rotation through the hip to create this coiling effect that's going to give us more power. What the mistake that people make when they do these single leg hip hinges often is this. They'll come out and they're going to externally rotate, and the side that's lifting is going to be way higher than the standing leg. What we want to do is we want to coil it in and think about keeping that back super flat, harder for balance, but you see how I'm creating a shelf here where I got perfect balance and position through the hips here, and that involves an internal rotation right on this crease that we call the inguinal fold. When we have that and we have the balance, now that exercise is going to translate into a faster athletic start. So I can take that exercise, progress it to a ground-based movement where I'm going to coil into the hip here. See how I'm more coiled to create a more powerful extension, as opposed to if I'm here and I'm open, now I don't have the full benefit of that range of motion and the full coiling through the hip. So that's a very important point. Last point on this exercise. Obviously we switch and do both legs. When I'm standing on my left leg, I like to put the right hand on top, and when I'm standing on the right leg, I like to put the left hand on top. You saw the 3 progressions. Have at it and make you a better athlete on the ground. That's the WEC Method RMT Club single leg hip hinge.